So now that we know how to use Baker's percentages, we're going to start the first stage of the dough fermentation process, which is creating the pre-ferment. Different cultures around the world have their different versions of pre-ferments. In Italy, where I've trained, it is known as the Biga, B-I-G-A, and it's a rather low hydration, kind of dry, almost scone-like dough. It's a very dry dough, as opposed to something like a Polish, which is the Polish version, which is 100% hydration, so it's very wet. Now, the amount of Biga that you want to be putting in your main dough, which we'll be doing in the next video, is about 10 to 30%. And all we need to do, decide whether we want to put 10% in, 20% in, or 30%. All we're going to do is take the flour weight, which we're using is 400 gram, times it by 0.2, which is going to give us 20% of the flour weight. So it's about 80 grams. So your Biga weight in total wants to be about 80 grams. I like to make a little bit more because it can have a tendency to dry out on the top sometimes. So here are the Baker's percentages for the Biga, the Italian pre-ferment, and you can see it's flour 100% as always. Water is 45 to 50%. 45% is what they used in Italy. However, Italy's can be like very humid, and it certainly was very humid and hot when I was there. So what I found when I got back to the UK was I had to up it to about 50% because it's just coming out a little bit on the dry side. Naturecraft, which is the freeze-dried mother yeast that we were doing, allows us to produce a consistently good sourdough with no guesswork, 6%. And then just dry active baker's yeast. I use Fermapan. You don't need to use Fermapan red. You can just get any, if you're just doing this for the first time or you're just dipping your toes, any dry active yeast from the supermarket will be fine. Will be fine. 0.3%. So just to recap quickly on Baker's percentages: flour weight divided by 100 times by ingredient percentage gives you ingredient weight. So I'm going to use about 80 grams of flour. 80 grams of flour. 100%. The water content, 50%. So it's 80 divided by 100 times by 50 equals 40 grams of water. Naturecraft, 6%. So it's 80 divided by 100 times by 6 equals 4.8 grams of Naturecraft. Yeast, 0.3%. 80 divided by 100 times by 0.3 equals 0.24 grams of yeast. This is why you need scales that weigh to 0.1. Otherwise you're not going to be able to, you're not going to get any, it wouldn't even register on even just non-digital scales, or even digital scales that don't weigh to 0.1, it's not going to register. You can get them for about a tenner, they're not massively expensive. 0.24 grams of yeast. And that's it. You'll notice there's no salt, there's no oil, there's nothing in it. It's water, flour, freeze-dry starter to wake it up, and then a little bit of yeast to get the fermentation process going.